Where's the bang bang, Preston? Come on.
I can't breathe.
Pub Sports Radio. Come find us in Southtown 101. Subscribe on YouTube and all platforms where podcasts are found.
What's up? It's Billy Briz, a.k.a. at Getting Bills on Twitter, joined by my main man, Brady, a.k.a. DFS by the Numbers. And I feel like goddamn Preston in that commercial. Bang, 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 bang. Bellator and Cage Warriors start off the weekend perfect for me. Brady, how you feeling today?
Good. Just off topic. In that commercial, what fight were they watching that got them so excited? Do you remember?
Dude, I think that's a Big Show question, to be honest with you.
Have no clue.
I know it wasn't Alonzo Menifield, I'll tell you that much. I remember those days, but let's get right into this fantasy PSR stacks and facts week 4. Pretty interesting week, I should say, injury report wise. The first real injury report slate of the year. I would say the injury reports are pretty interesting. Out for this weekend so far is Julio Jones, AJ Brown, CMC, Sterling Shepard, Slayton, Jarvis Landry, Elijah Moore, Russell Gage, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, James White, Gio Bernard, Rashad Penny, doubtful. Rob Gronkowski, after he said he was going to play, kind of a really weird situation. Gerald Everett, tight end for the Seattle Seahawks, and Dwayne Eskridge, wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks. Questionable for Sunday is Dalvin Cook, Claypool, Dalton, Kittle, Eli Mitchell, Lockett, Melvin Gordon, Curtis Samuels, and I'm not done yet. Probable for this weekend coming back is Darrell Henderson, Antonio Gibson, Mooney, Jonathan Taylor, Wentz, Crowder, Swift, Lamar Jackson, and also in is Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster, Will Fuller, and Anthony Ferkser for the Tennessee Titans. So a lot of news to go through. Brady, which one do you have your eye on the most for Sunday?
Holy crap, you just named like 100 names. I guess the one that sticks out to me the most is going to be no Slayton and no Shepard. So that's going to open up things for Golladay and also a sneaky tight end play that I think we touched on earlier this week, and Evan Ingram. I think, who are they going to throw the ball to, right? Evan Ingram and Golladay. So I think those two are, bump up a little bit. And then also no Brown and no Jones that does bring me to like Derrick Henry even more, and then also Nick Westbrook, Ikine as well at 3,200. So those are the ones that stick out to me the most. But yeah, we got to watch out and see who's playing, who's not playing. If Dalvin Cook is out, which I think will play. If he's out, though, Madison's another good play as well. But yeah, lots to look at, man.
Yeah, we're going to get straight into the stacks. The first stack of the week that we're going to look at is going to be the Seattle Seahawks versus the San Francisco 49ers. I think that's going to be one of the most popular games on this slate. However, I will say there's a lot of news to monitor on Sunday. Questionable for the 49ers right now. It's George Kittle, Josh Norman, Elijah Moore. So that we don't really have that value running back this week with Darrell Henderson coming back. That kind of crosses off Sony Michel off the slate. So we kind of need Elijah Mitchell to be out for Trey Sermon this weekend to get some cheap value in at the running back position. But I really like that stack. That's the stack that I ended up going with in my cash game build, and hybrid version of that in GPPs was the Wilson to Metcalf with the bring back of either Ayuk and Sermon or Kittle and Ayuk, depending on how the injury news really breaks out. Brady, what is your favorite stack of the week?
Yeah, first off, I do like the stack you brought up in Seattle, and then also the play you touched on Wednesday, which really stuck out to me. Brandon Ayuk, 5,000, right? Like, this could be a phenomenal spot for him. I had high expectations coming in on Brandon Ayuk to start the year, but he did battle some injuries, did not play much, if any at all. Week 1, only had 2 targets in week 2, but it seems like they're starting to use him more, as last week he had 6 targets. He's sitting at 5,000. I feel like that's a phenomenal run back option, a great matchup, and I feel like if Brandon Ayuk does go off once again like he did last week, we don't see him at 5,000. But the stack I'm looking to at the most this week is going to be the Buffalo Bills. I love this matchup. The only scary thing is I think they're 17-point favorites now. Earlier in the week it was like 14, but no, 17-point favorites. So maybe they do get out ahead early. Maybe they do start to run the ball, but I think they're in a phenomenal spot. Josh Allen, I talked about it last week. You take a look at him in week 1 and week 2, had very tough matchups. Pittsburgh, very good defense. Miami, very good defense. And then Washington, who he thought was going to be a good defense. But Washington looks like they're one of the bottom defenses in the league. And he scored 40.22 DraftKings points. And now he's going against another bottom defense in the league in the Houston Texans. I like Josh Allen. I like Stephon Diggs. I like Cole Beasley. I like Sanders. I think Beasley's really safe. He had 11 or 12 targets last week. I like him in cash. He's going to get a ton of targets, a ton of volume there. And in terms of a run back option, there's really nobody I'd play on the Houston Texans outside of Brandon Cooks, who's been looking phenomenal this year. Pretty much the only phenomenal thing about this Houston team is Brandon Cooks averaging 22.6 DraftKings points. Josh Allen and the Bills running it back with Cooks for me.
Yeah, I kind of like that stack as well. One thing I was looking at for like low dollar single entry was thinking about going with a Bill stack with a run back of Brandon Cooks and then Jordan Atkins, the tight end for the Houston Texans. He was heavily used a lot with Davis Mills in there. So I think that could be a low owned bring back option that could make some things work out ownership wise. The other stack I was also looking at, just because of the pace of the game, Arizona Cardinals versus the Los Angeles Rams. The biggest thing that I think that people have been questioning on this slate has been Kyler Murray's rushing floor. It seemed like it kind of somewhat disappeared on the ground yards wise, but he's been scoring rushing touchdowns left and right, and he's been throwing them through the air as well. Seems like a pretty easy game to stack. I really like the price tags on Rondale Moore this week. I feel like with Jalen Ramsey occupying DeAndre Hopkins, it kind of makes it easier to pick the secondary pieces on the Arizona Cardinals from a DraftKings perspective, just because of the price tags of them. Rondale Moore, you also got Christian Kirk, who's looked absolutely electric this year. And then it works out kind of perfect because I don't know how much Cooper Kupp I'm really going to play this week. So I kind of want to have it correlated in my stack. So it kind of makes it a pretty easy run back options. And I'm kind of more inclined to play Murray over Stafford just off the rushing touchdown floor. Brady, what are your thoughts on the Cardinals and Rams?
Yeah, so I'm kind of going the other way. I'm taking the $800 savings off of Murray. And first of all, I think Murray's a phenomenal play, but I really do like this matchup and the Rams offense here. Matthew Stafford's been looking really good, like a lot better than a lot of people, including me, expected. 26 DraftKings points on average per week thus far. And I just love the stacking options. Cooper Kupp, 7,800. Robert Woods, 5,300. Those are my two I'm looking at. Obviously, great run back options. You have Hopkins, Moore, and Kirk as well, like you mentioned, has been looking good. But in just terms of one-offs this week, I don't know if I'll get to a lot of Cooper Kupp. He's projected to be the highest owned wide receiver from what I'm looking at. And, I'd much rather play a Devontae Adams or, like a Tyreek Hill. Because I do think we're going to see some regression, right? In Cooper Kupp, he's not going to score 32.4 DraftKings points every single game, right? So in terms of one-offs, I'm looking elsewhere. But in terms of a stack, I don't hate the Stafford Kupp Woods, who Woods is very, very cheap. I like him a lot. But yeah, I'm more on the Rams side. But yeah, I don't hate the Cardinals call as well.
Yeah, I just take that the price tag on some of those Rams players like Robert Woods is definitely disrespectful. And Kyler Murray's been, if he's not the highest priced quarterback on the slate like he is on FanDuel, I'm kind of inclined to play him. But what are the other stacks that you're looking at for this week, Brady? Because there's pretty interesting high game totals all across the board from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
Yeah, so we talked about the Cardinals stack. We talked about the Rams stack. We talked about the Seahawks stack and the Bills stack. The other one I was looking at is going to be the Carolina stack. And this one's weird, but it's very interesting. Sam Darnold, believe it or not, has actually been looking, good this year. He's averaging 23.7 DraftKings points. He's priced down at 6,000. Going against Dallas here, who, I typically like to crap on Dallas's defense, but they're looking a lot better this year. But still, it's not like they're a top 10 defense or nothing like that. They're better than I expected. But yeah, Sam Darnold, we have no Christian McCaffrey. I do expect they're going to come out here and start passing the ball a lot more. DJ Moore, I think, is going to be a huge benefit off of McCaffrey not playing. He's already averaging about 11 or 10 targets per week, scoring 20.3 DraftKings points per week as well. DJ Moore is one of my favorite plays in terms of wide receiver on the slate. And then also Chuba Hubbard as well. 5,900. I don't hate stacking him with Darnold. I think Darnold's going to get him the ball quite a bit. So yeah, kind of a weird one, but yeah, Darnold, Hubbard, and DJ Moore. I like that stack, running it back with Lamb or Cooper, which, by the way, Lamb and Cooper are both way too cheap. I don't get the price points. Lamb 6,700, and then Cooper for some reason is 6,000 on DraftKings. And even if you want to, go the other way with it, right? Even the DAX stacks, I don't hate. The only thing I do hate is what the heck's going on, man. We talked about early in the year how much Dak throws the ball. He threw the ball 58 times in week 1. Now he threw it 27 in week 2 and now 26 in week 3. It seems like they're really putting a focus on running the ball, and that's kind of what concerns me on the Cowboys side in terms of stacking. But yeah, I think an interesting stack is that Carolina side, though.
I think that's the stack that's going to make me a lot of money this week is going to be the Carolina and the Dallas Cowboys one. I'm not going to lie. When we first did the video on Wednesday with DJ Moore, he was kind of grading out just off of point per dollar wise, one of my favorite wide receivers in the slate. But when I started looking at wide receiver cornerback matchups, I think there is a real high possibility by the end of the year that when you look back at all the cornerback stats, you're going to see Travion Diggs move up a lot of fucking pre-NFL Pro Football Focus's cornerback rankings. And I think, honestly, it's a bad matchup for DJ Moore. I think that he's going to be contained a little bit by Diggs. And I think the spot to hit in that game is going to be Robbie Anderson on the other side. His over-under is set at 43.5 receiving yards. And that's one of the overs that I'm looking at for this week. If you look at Robbie Anderson's production this year, it's been somewhat disappointing, or I should say highly disappointing, but he gets a really good matchup. I think it's one of those situations where you're going to want to start targeting the second wide receiver against the Cowboys because their defense secondary is still definitely not the best, but maybe Diggs is kind of top 5 cornerback in the league. I think Robbie Anderson's the way I want to go with that one. And then a low-owned option Big Show got me on was Dalton Schultz, tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. He's been a top 5 scoring fantasy tight end this season so far. So I feel like his safety of his floor in this spot in game stacks kind of make all the sense. So kind of like a Dak to Lamb and Schultz running it back with Hubbard and Anderson, because I think a lot of people are going to run it back with Hubbard and DJ Moore. But I think if Robbie Anderson can catch the lightning bottle game, you could definitely win a lot of money this week.
Yeah, man, what's going on with Robbie Anderson? Last year, it seemed like him and DJ Moore would just like trade back and forth really big games, and it seemed like they really never had a bad game. But yeah, Robbie Anderson hasn't been doing much. On that note, I do agree that it is a tough matchup for Moore, but I do think he's still going to get a ton of volume. So I think it kind of evens it out a little bit. But yeah, I agree. It's a tough matchup on paper. I guess somebody we didn't talk about is Terrence Marshall. He's 4,000. So maybe, although Robbie Anderson is considered that second best wide receiver on the team, I wouldn't be shocked if it could be Terrence Marshall this week, right? Yeah. 4K. So I don't hate that as well.
Yeah, Brady, I definitely do agree with you. I didn't even think about running Terrence Marshall in these Panthers and Cowboys stacks. I think that's one that could get real interesting that you just have to a little bit deep dive into, because I think there's some spots to hit in that game. You just got to figure out which one is going to make the most sense. The other stack that I was looking at this week was the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles this week. Patrick Mahomes looks like he needs a bounce back spot, and if there was ever a bounce back spot, it would be against the Philadelphia Eagles. They're 7-point favorites, one of the highest team totals on the board this week. The game seems like a very easy game to stack. You got Kelsey at the tight end position. It makes you kind of want to pay up for Kelsey. You got Hill on the team also as well. Another dude I was looking at was McCole Hardman. He gets a really good soft cornerback wide receiver matchup. And then on the other side of running the back, Devonta Smith, the rookie wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles, should absolutely smash against the Kansas City Chiefs if they're going to be down by a lot. And you can also get pretty interesting with Miles Sanders as well if you want to go that route too. Brady, what other stacks were you looking at for this week?
Yeah, it was going to be on the Kansas City side, but something interesting I kind of thought about. I think this was in the Millie Maker week 1 lineup where they stacked the Chiefs, but they stacked it without Mahomes. And that's very interesting, right? So I think they went like Hill and Kelsey, stacked them together, and that was on the optimal lineup without Mahomes. And the reason that was because Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill are all three really expensive. So I could see myself, stacking up Kelsey and Hill and going at quarterback elsewhere. But yeah, I think they're all three in phenomenal spots here. Kelsey, Hill, Mahomes, I think they're great. On the flip side, I don't mind Hurts. I actually ended up going with Hurts and cash. Kansas City has given it the most DraftKings points to quarterbacks thus far. Their defense is not looking great. Typically, a Chiefs game is going to be a shootout. I expect this one to be one as well. Tyreek Hill, especially, is somebody I like as a one-off. He's coming in at lower ownership than Cooper Kupp. I like him quite a bit. Has not done much in the last 2 weeks. I do expect him to come back here. And then Travis Kelce, I'm always going to be high on. So, yeah, I think that was interesting to note. But, yeah, Kansas City, was the last stack I was looking at. Other than that, I think I'm just going to stick with the ones we talked about. Nothing really. Oh, this game's kind of interesting. Washington, Atlanta. I just think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. Both have terrible, terrible defenses. Like I said earlier, I thought Washington's defense was going to be good, but they're looking like one of the worst defenses in the league. And this is a team I like to go to sometimes is going to be the Atlanta side. Like Matt Ryan, he's so cheap, 5,400. He's throwing the ball a lot. It's very ugly. He threw the ball 36 times last week. He threw the ball 46 times the week before. And you see Matt Ryan just so cheap, 5,400. Phenomenal matchup against Washington, who's been struggling. And then also Calvin Ridley, somebody that's 7,000 cheap himself. So I might get a little crazy with it and go with a Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley stack against his – like Washington's defense looks horrible, man. So I might do –
I'm kind of interested in buying into that defense. I think to the eye test, especially playing in prime time, a lot of people aren't going to want to play the Washington football defense, but at their price tag, especially on FanDuel at $4,000, I'm kind of inclined to play them. I think Matt Ryan could definitely pop over a couple of sacks and a couple of turnovers. It wouldn't be the first time we'd see Matt Ryan blow a good matchup.
Yeah, but they just look so bad. Oh, they look horrible. Maybe this is the week to come back, but man, I think I don't know. They just look terrible. So hopefully
that's one of the three defenses I have written down. Might have to cross that one off the list. I'm glad it's Friday, not Sunday morning, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but one-off wise, the only one that really stood out to me, shouts to Big Show again, man. Corey Davis, $5,700, $5,000 on DK. With Derrick Henry being so popular this week, you're going to have to run it back with somebody, and the optimal run back is going to be Corey Davis, man. It looks like this should be another good spot for him against a pretty soft Tennessee Titans secondary. And I wouldn't be surprised, like we said earlier, if this game plays out a little bit closer than the intended line with Julio Jones and A.J. Brown both being out, the 1 and 2. And another dude to look at in that game would be Anthony Ferkser, tight end, who's coming back for the Tennessee Titans. Not really a lot of it's basically pay up for Kelsey or punt at tight end this week, and those are one of the 5 to 6 punt options that could definitely pay off their price tag this week. Brady, any one-offs or any stacks that you're looking at that were going under the radar?
Yeah, shout out to Big Show for that Davis call. Tennessee has given up the most DraftKings points to opposing wide receivers, and I think they're probably going to be trailing. They're probably going to be throwing the ball as well. In terms of one-offs, I think the most interesting thing for me is seeing the ownership of Cooper Kupp. I'm going to pivot off to Adams and Hill in tournaments. Like I said earlier, I think Cooper Kupp is going to he's not going to score 33 points a game, right? And I think Adams and Hill both have an opportunity to outscore him at a lot lower ownership there. So Adams and Hill for me. I think Beasley down there, Robert Woods is way too cheap as well. I like them. And then in terms of, a very cheap wide receiver that's now sticking out, like a touchdown earlier, Nick Westbrook, Ikine is 3,200. I think he's going to be in a solid spot. They're literally going to have nobody to throw to, and I think Ikine is going to be the guy. At 3,200, I'll take some shots there.
Yeah, he's going to make my fantasy lineup this week in Dynasty. Deep dive, Bill, getting Nikhil Westbrook Ikine for like 3 years now. He's been on my taxi squad, and now he's finally getting to start. Him and Olamide Zaccheaus, man, ended up working out really well for free agency for waiver wire. But as I digress a little bit, wide receivers I was looking at under 5K besides him, or like I said, Corey Davis, Mecole Hardman, Jalen Waddle, Rondale Moore, and Zach Pascal. Jalen Waddle would lead the way for me for one-offs this week. But before we get into a quick preview about props, quick shout outs to the sponsors. Make sure you go to Manscaped, use promo code PubSports on your checkout, and get that free shipping and get that lawnmower 4.0. I had to make a call to a special friend to get a quick prop preview. Make sure you check out the NFL Pub Hub on Sunday on Pub Sports Radio. If you hit the bell notification, you get notified for all of our live videos. Me and this man right here are going to go back to back, giving out props. So it's going to be a very prop heavy NFL Sunday morning show this week with my main man Sharpie Bets in here. Shouts to David Sharp. Make sure you follow him over on Twitter at Sharpie Bets. Sharpie, how are you feeling? How are you doing today? I know you've been degenerately betting tennis on a different type time I've ever been on. He's out here betting on women's tennis, cashing women's tennis left and right. It's been a pretty crazy week for my main man, Sharpie. Sharpie, what are you looking at? Take me down the rabbit hole that you're going to bring us for NFL props this week.
Man, let's get to it, man. But shout out to the Pub Sports Radio Discord, man. That's where you can find a lot of people, smart cappers in there. And Trey Day, he be giving me all my tennis, guys. I just jump in the car and I'm blessed to be in it. So I'm gonna go to Michael Carter, your boy, Billy.
Michael Carter? I did not think we were starting off.
Michael Carter.
Yes.
Props and Sharpie brings up Michael Carter. I'm interested to hear this.
Michael Carter, fellas. This is shit that people are not looking at. This is why we need to attack these things. Everybody else wants the big main names. I get it. I'll give you a big main name later. Cheers.
Don't die on the screen here. Me and
Michael
Brady
Carter was named the starter last week, guys. Shout out to Willie Beebid. He gave me him the pickup on the waiver wire on my fantasy league at the beginning of the year. Said this guy will be the starter at the end of the year. Okay, I'm going Michael Carter from the New York Jets over 8.5 receiving yards, guys. 8.5 receiving yards. Here we go. Titans have the 19th ranked pass defense. Carter's averaging 16 yards per game, guys. Last week, he only got 5. I love when a guy doesn't hit his prop the week before, and he's in the starting role now. So the first 2 weeks to me absolutely mean nothing. I think 8.5 yards is way too low on a guy who's going to be in the game, and the game script should say they're down. So 8.5 yards is one catch, guys, and it sounds like a drop in the bucket.
I have a question about that. Does that game environment scare you? We talked about Friday injury news reports with Julio Jones and A.J. Brown both being out for Sunday. While I think that does make the Jets more of a live dog, that kind of concerns me about the game environment for how many, I think that point total goes down a lot.
I may go down, but the way they're using him, and if it stays close, I think they give Carter as much run as possible, bro. So that's even better if the game's close to me. All it takes is one screen pass, and that's cashed.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with you on that one. Brady, do you have any thoughts on the Michael Carter take?
No, I mean, I think it's solid.
Is there anything that you were looking at in particular that caught your eye, either sides, totals, or props?
Yeah, a couple of things did. The first one's going to be Derrick Henry over 26.5 rushing attempts plus 100. Like we talked about, there's no Brown, there's no Jones. You got to expect they're going to run the ball with Henry all day, right? He had 35 rushing attempts a couple weeks ago, had like 28 last week. I think that 26 over half at plus 100 is pretty safe.
I kind of like when you and Sharpie, because you guys don't really correlate too much, like talking wise, but when you guys are on a show together and you guys are picking the same running backs in the same game, that's kind of good news. So it kind of throws me off of not being too scared about the game environment too much. Sharpie, was there any other props you were looking at?
Yes, guys, we got to go to the Sunday night football game. New England Patriots versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady's going home, guys. It's Sunday night, and he has 2 records to break this Sunday night. It is a touchdown record and a yardage records, both held by Drew Brees. He is no longer in the league, so this is the record, and from what he builds on it. Gronk today was ruled doubtful on the injury report. Shout out to my man KP. So to me, I'm on Antonio Brown over 54.5 receiving yards on DK. He's coming off of COVID. He had five catches for 121 the week before, and he's averaging 23 yards a catch, guys. That's like 3 catches, and he hits his prop. I wouldn't mind a anytime TD at plus 150. Shout out to Tony Cobbs, though, with the dono. Good looking.
Cobbs. Let's go.
Good looking. Let's go. But Yeah, his anytime touchdown was at plus 150. I really believe he's either going to Gronk if he's in the game or Antonio Brown to break his record. I think those guys have a personal connection with him, and I think the coach will call a play for those guys. So if Gronk is not in the game, I'm going to load up on Antonio Brown anytime TD and maybe first touchdown.
I like that a lot, Sharpie. I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind when I'm building out Sunday night lineups. Sometimes the weekend gets kind of a little bit hectic, but I'm going to definitely keep that in my back pocket for Sunday night football. I like that look a lot. Brady, anything else you were looking at for this week?
Yeah, so this one's an interesting one. Evan Ingram over 2.5 receptions. He came back off an injury last week, had 6 targets, only had 2 receptions. So like Sharpie mentioned, the prop did not hit last week, but I think it hits this week. Like we talked about, there's no Slayton, there's no Shepard. Who are they possibly going to throw the ball to? It's just him and Galladay. So I think over 2.5 is pretty generous.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot, Brady. That is definitely one that I'm going to end up writing down and moving on that one after we get done this breakdown. My bad. Douglas Lima started almost knocking out Michael Venom Page in the background. Kind of caught my eye. Plus 120 underdog. But one game that I was looking at underdog-wise was the Monday Night Football game. I'm kind of leading towards the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm not going to say I'm a bandwagon junkie hype fan, but if you've been a Raiders fan for a little bit now, you kind of know they always had the intangibles, and I feel like the sports books are kind of overvaluing the Chargers this week. Last year, one of my only max bets of the year was the Chargers on Thursday night against the Raiders, and that was one of the worst sweats of my life. I think I'm going to go on the opposite side this time and bet the Las Vegas Raiders to cover against the Chargers. I think the Raiders should be favored in the game. I know we have a Chargers fan on stream, so I'm interested to hear his thoughts on the game. Sharpie, what are your thoughts on these Raiders and Chargers on Monday Night Football?
Not just a Charger fan. Let's zoom in right there. You see that, bro? Those are 6-inch bolts on both sides of my head in Dodger blue. Okay, let's just get that right. I just gotta have hair now because I get pulled over too much with a shaved head. But I already bet the Raider money line. I'm with you, my guy. Plus 160 is in my bank account. Like I believe that they win this game. The Raiders. I've gone to it. Can you see this right here? I've gone to the last few Raider Charger games in California, bro, and Raiders have won. Why is the Chargers favored right now? Like, they're just disrespecting them.
Yeah. I was honestly shocked to see that the Raiders were underdogs. I felt like they looked like the better team this year. Chargers kind of got lucky and unlucky a little bit in a couple of spots. But I think that's really it for me for sides this week. I'm going to keep the sides pretty short. If you want to see more of my props, make sure you tune in Sunday for the NFL Pub Hub. Haven't really moved on any props besides Jalen Waddle over 3.5 receptions at minus 140. Yes. I like that a lot. That's my favorite play of the week. Just bet wise, Waddle baby, big girl, yeah. Waddle's been looking like an absolute beast this year, and he's gonna waddle his way inside the end zone, untracked. But I'm gonna have to sprinkle a couple of dollars, as my boy Mills would say. That will definitely be on my lunch money board. Will be Jalen Waddle first touchdown. I ain't gonna tell nobody, but I'm gonna tell everybody once I cash it. Overall, though, Sharpie, is there anything else that really caught your eye, props wise?
Nah, man. Shout out to the chat, guys. I can't see who's in here, but you guys rock for hanging out. Smash the like if you haven't. Hit the share, the retweet, all that good stuff. You guys rock for kicking it. I wrote so much good stuff down. I'm going to play a DK lineup, bro, and I swear to God, if I win that billionaire, you guys will get a percentage. And it's going to be something stupid, bro. I've got Hill, Kelsey without Mahomes. And I've got to figure out, do I want to run Matt Ryan with Ridley like he was saying and just sneak in some stuff that no one's gonna have? And if it hits, it hits.
Hey man, I will say, instead of breaking me off, man, I would take a plane invite to whatever destination,
you go to.
Yeah, wherever vacation destination spot you will go to, I will definitely be your personal blunt roller or weed dabber, whatever you need. I'm there for you, buddy. Just send me the invite and I'm going to be there. Brady, anything else you're looking at sides, totals wise? I know it's a pretty busy MMA week, so I know you're not really want to go into the sides too much.
Yeah, don't really go into the sides too much. I'm more a prop guy because I'm more of a DFS guy, and that kind of aligns up there. But yeah, man, Waddle over 3.5 receptions. Really, that's a thing.
That's a thing, man. I saw it. It was one of I rarely bet things early in the week. When I bet something early in the week, it's because I really think it's going to change or it's going to hit. And last week, for example, I bet the Packers on Sunday Night Football on a fucking Monday. Like that, I thought that line was going to change. I thought Waddle was going to go up to -160. It's still hovering around -140 in some spots, and 3.5. I thought that shit was going to say 5.5 at plus money. So he's absurdly going to be my favorite value on the slate. He gets one of the best wide receiver cornerback matchups in the league. The Colts have allowed a lot of wide receiver points to the slot position. So we're going to be Waddle and baby all the way to the end zone today.
Yeah, I think for me, it's I'm going to be on you with that Waddle over 3.5, the Ingram over 2.5 receptions, Henry over 26.5 rushing attempts, and then a couple props that stuck out to me as well. Tyreek Hill over 73.5 receiving yards. He has not hit that or been really close to it the last 2 weeks. I think this is the week to do it against Philly, and then also Washington over versus Atlanta over 47.5 points total. Two horrible defenses going at it. Washington's defenses look terrible. Atlanta's defense is always terrible, and two solid offenses there. So the over there. But yeah, Ingram over, Waddle over, and Henry over are probably my three favorite ones.
I like that a lot, Brady. Very sharp as always. Thank you, Sharpie, for coming on today. And make sure you follow Sharpie over on Twitter at Sharpie's Bets. Brady, let him know what kind of content you got going on this week. I can't wait to watch your MMA video this evening. You know, we had some crazy things happen at weigh-ins. Let them know where they can find you at.
Yep, I'll be going live at about 19 minutes on my channel, DFS by the Numbers. We'll talk some weigh-ins, talk some betting, talk some DraftKings as well. Tomorrow we'll be going live 1 hour prior to the prelims for Best Bet. You were on there at Billy last week. We had some great calls on there. And then, yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the Numbers. Tons of stuff going on throughout the week, NFL and MMA. And they're going to start trying to get NASCAR back up in next season as well.
You and Wheezy were laughing at me during the main event when I said we might see Brian Ortega in the hospital, and if he does, Tracy Cortez, give me a call. Probably I was not close with that, man.
Did you get the call? Did you get the call? Did you get the call or no?
I didn't get the call up, but you know, I ended up getting robbed just how Michael Venom Page just robbed Lima. So I don't know what I'm going to do for the rest of the day, but make sure you hit the like button on your way out and hit the bell notification so you get notified for all of our live videos on Pub Sports Radio. It's going to be a busy weekend. MMA UFC live stream tomorrow, right after the college football show. We also got the morning Pub Hub. We also got my main man, Sharpie, down there breaking down the MLB. So make sure you stay. Actually, no, that comes out in the morning. I got to make sure I stay up late night.
You got to stay up so we record it tonight.
Let's go.
Get him, get him, get him, get him.